call to the meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. I have the worst angle to see that clock.
Yeah, I can see that.
You can see it better. Pledge allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Tim Drolet.
Here.
Jan Gaffney.
Here.
Tim Holcomb.
Here.
Allison McFadden Kiesling.
Here.
Nancy Moon.
Here.
Alan Panter.
Here.
Maggie Sands.
Here.
Hey, we're all here. May I have a motion, please, to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
I'll second.
Did you get those, Kathy? Okay. A motion has been made and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove, please say nay. Motion carried. Call to the public. Do we have any public that wants to chat?
Any public?
I don't think so. Okay. We'll go on to the consent agenda. Anyone have any questions or comments? May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll move.
I will second.
You got them both? Motion has been made and approved to accept the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove, please say nay. Motion carried. And now we're ready for the Friends.
Okay, just to let you know, our next book sale is scheduled April 29th to May 2nd. What we try to do at the January book sale at the end is encourage nonprofits to come and pick up books, because we always have a lot of books left over. Rather than trying to dump them, some of them we know we don't sell. We reached out to senior citizens organizations and assisted living and places like that. We went to 8 of them in the area, and none of them showed. So we are looking for any suggestions of organizations, mainly nonprofits, you think could benefit from these books for their members or for any audience that they reach out to in that. Let me know if you've got a name that would even be greater. So I would appreciate, we've got a couple of weeks before we are starting to promote it, but any contacts you have would be greatly appreciated. Yes.
What are the age groups for the books? Are they mostly older crowd or older reader or?
No, we get a lot of children's books, and then we have teens, and then we have adults in all different categories, from fiction, nonfiction, mystery. We have gardening and cooking and political and all kinds of stuff like that people could buy. At the end they can have it for free. Because we'd rather somebody use it than us dumping them.
I don't know that it's a nonprofit, but how about Better World Books? Don't they take those where you box them up and send them? And
We did do that at the end of this last sale. Yeah, we did do that.
okay, yeah.
I'm surprised about the assisted livings because a lot of them actually have a library in the building, and you would think that they would be happy to add to it.
Yeah, we gave them flyers that they could post. Nothing.
Was Lourdes on the list? Because I know they have a library probably in both buildings, I think.
That's the one in Waterford?
Yes.
Okay, no, they weren't added. We had 8 organizations we reached out to in Clarkson.
But yeah, and they are at Waterford, but if the Clarkson people weren't interested, then.
Yeah.
I found a place called Making Spirits Bright.
Yeah.
It's a nonprofit book place. I was just trying to look up some more info on it. But
Okay.
The daycare center behind Independence Hall takes all our flyers for your book sales, etc., a big supporter. They might be willing to take out a lot of children's books. Whether or not they pick them up, I don't know. But they have lots of children there running around. But they, they take the newsletter, whatever we offer, they post it for you.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have any suggestions?
I'm gonna do a little research before I make a suggestion.
Okay.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you. I think now, Bill, you're doing our library statistics?
Sure. So looking at the statistics, you may notice that at least on page 3, the last one is blank. That's because we just didn't track it in this system yet. That's when we added this recently. We have to import all the old data that we've got. Because we usually do library cards once a year, so that's why we don't have a monthly tally on that one either year. And yes, there were 0 Comics Plus ones done last year and 0 Tumble Books this year. It's legit. I was like, well, okay. There was one this year in Comics Plus, which was an improvement of 100%. The most notable one, though, is however, the children's and teen programs. There's significantly fewer programs done. That had to do with differences in staff and stuff like that. They were rebuilding in January of this year, so that's why that was significantly lower this year. But everything else is pretty much running pretty close to each other. I mean, within one of notary transactions from last year to this year, so we had 30 more people, 30 more visitors from last year to this year, and that's it. But yeah, most of the other stuff is running pretty close to equivalence.
I talked to Molly, and she said that for the Battle of the Books, they had a lot of
They did have
a lot of children
kids,
participating.
yeah. And that falls on this month, not January.
Yeah. That's
I
always.
think there was a lot of them, and she said that they were having great fun. There's a lot of different teams that they're all costumed. They all had really fun names, and their costumes fit the teams. And they had to, I think it was a multi-way tie that they just had to let go through. They did 5 tiebreaker questions, and both of the teams just completely weren't through them. They're like, I guess you both will be fine. We don't have any more questions for you, so here you go. You will be in the finals now.
It's a wonderful program. If you've never been to it, the kids are fantastic. They really are.
And they're reading.
And they're
Not
reading.
but comprehending and
Yes.
actually, getting the books. They actually.
And then taking it that step further and doing something creative.
Yes.
And then doing something with the knowledge.
Right.
Not just creative with their teams
Yeah.
and all that stuff, but they have to actually answer questions about what they've been reading. So they actually had to internalize it all too. So
It's an impressive program and a lot of work.
yes.
Okay, Judy, can we have the director's report?
Sure. Under collaborator, each year the library participates in Clarkston Area Youth Assistance's April is Blue Pinwheel Month program, part of the National Pinwheels for Prevention campaign. Gardens of Blue Pinwheels will be on display throughout the community, including the library, as a reminder that it is that your small act of kindness could be the one that makes a big difference to someone else. On March 12th, there will be a kickoff event focused on the importance of creating connections with children and teens to assure they feel seen and supported. In partnership with the Friends of the library provides books to each elementary school library focused on themes of kindness, patience, and cooperation, with conversation starter questions and activities to support teachers incorporating these books into their lesson plans. So we're looking forward to doing that. CIDL continues to collaborate with the Clarkston Area Lions Club on their KidSight free monthly vision screening program for children ages 5 months and up. Photos are taken of the child's eyes to check for potential vision problems. Results are immediate, and a report is provided at the screening. We host the Lions Club in our youth activities room on the second Saturday of each month from 10 until noon, and we've been doing that for several years. I'm not even sure how many years anymore. I've sort of lost track, but it's a good program. We are a go-to place for learning and resources. Just wanted to point out a couple of programs. Isle Royale, Michigan's little-known treasure, Sunday, March 22nd at 2 p.m. One of Michigan's 5 national parks, the Wall Street Journal, has named Isle Royale as America's best national park. Become an armchair traveler in this small island in the middle of Lake Superior that is usually a 5-hour boat ride to visit. Learn all about the diverse wildlife and outdoor adventures that can be found there. Another item, the library has added a new database called the Library Speakers Consortium. This free online service provides live and recorded talks from best-selling and award-winning authors. Simply log in through the library's website to register for these engaging virtual events that focus on adult fiction, K-12 fiction, and cooking. Upcoming authors include Kate Quinn, Catherine Applegate, Christopher Paolini, and Lydia Bastianich. So if you look at the little picture that I put here, there's a QR code, and you can click on that, and it leads you right into our website. You can sign up for ones that are live, and when you go into those live ones, you can ask questions in advance, and they will ask them during the presentation. If you miss the presentation, you get a recording emailed to you, and then you can go back, and they've got an archive of all the recordings that they've already had. So we just had a presentation at one of our all-staff meetings, so that the staff could get to know this new service. And so I popped in and watched a Catherine Applegate one, and it was really nice. It was great to hear an author talking about their own work, and it was cool to see the way that they kind of incorporated the questions into the talk. It was really nice. So these are really cool. So for We Are a Vital Organization, preparations for the library's 2025 audit are continuing. The auditor will visit the library to do the field work on Wednesday, March 25th, so that's coming up pretty quickly. And then just a website design update. The website redesign committee continues to meet each week with our Vega team. 90% of the content from the old site has been transferred over to the new Vega template. The main design work will begin soon. The team working with our Vega Discover online catalog has created both our main database of collections and the kid-friendly version of the catalog. Our staff has just started working on the design elements for that portion. Training on the new catalogs will begin in about 2 weeks. We anticipate presenting a draft of the new website, which will fully integrate the new online catalogs at the April 13, 2026 board meeting prior to its May rollout. Now, it won't be done on that April 13th, but you'll get to see a draft of it. So, any questions on any of that?
Database does look wonderful. A lot of great talks.
It's really neat. It's really, really neat. Yeah, I've done a couple of them.
And Isle Royal now has places you can stay.
My parents went on their honeymoon there in 1974. I feel like nobody does that anymore. It's all cruises and stuff. But
Yes, I think you're right. Okay, I guess we're now ready for regular business. Julie, do you want to talk about our Allied Building Service contract?
Sure. So on February 16th, the library board reviewed the renewal of the Allied Building Service contract. The proposed contract is back on the agenda because questions were raised about the details in the general conditions section. So the item was tabled. The contract was sent to our attorney, Ann Searing, who submitted it to Scott Hogan, who is the person who specializes in contracts. Scott expanded the section to include additional standard language that he deemed appropriate. He said it was pretty much boilerplate language that he added. The contract was sent to Allied Management for review, and they returned the contract with their signature, indicating they accept the updated language as presented. It is a budgeted item, and we have followed up on the details. But if you'll remember, there were some costs that were increasing the hourly rates. But anything that's done on an hourly rate, we have quoted before we have it done, so we wouldn't be surprised by any of those costs. And some of them we don't actually use the electrical and plumbing. We often use a local contractor for those specialty projects. So, any questions about that?
oh, thanks for asking them about that.
Absolutely no problem. No.
That was a much more thorough.
He did do a nice
outlay
job.
than
Yeah,
what
he
we
dropped
had,
in some
so.
things that about when they use vehicles and things like
Yeah.
that were definitely not in there. So, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was
Yeah, it was
much
substantially
improved.
more.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, yeah. And he looked at the whole thing, not just that section, but I did highlight that that was the section you were concerned about,
Yeah.
so he put extra attention on that.
Cool.
Any other questions or comments? I think we need a motion to approve the Comprehensive Facilities Maintenance Program contract with Allied Building Service as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the Comprehensive Facilities Maintenance Program contract that we have with Allied Building Service as presented and modified.
I'll second that.
A motion has been made and seconded to approve the Comprehensive Facilities Maintenance Program contract with Allied Building Services All those who approve, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove, please say nay. Motion has carried. And our next item, sorry, I need to turn a few pages.
Yeah. It's kind of buried underneath there.
Okay,
A lot of pages.
our next item is the bookmobile that was brought to our attention.
So in mid-2025, CIDL was approached by Chase McMunn, who's the director of the Orion Township Public Library, regarding a possible collaborative project. OTPL has been researching the possibility of purchasing a commercial van that would be customized into a mobile library or bookmobile that could be shared between the two libraries. There were 2 initial meetings about this potential project. Then in September, the CIDL board formed a committee to do an analysis of the project. The committee consisted of myself, Jim Drolet, and our school and outreach coordinator, Molly Weiner. OTPL provided their complete business plan for the project for our review. We met as a committee, then met with OTPL team to discuss the project. Our committee felt that a collaborative project of this nature has merit. However, it is an extremely expensive and complicated undertaking to share a specialized vehicle. The committee felt that the goal of how the 2 libraries would use the vehicle were quite different and would further complicate the project. In order to allow OTPL to proceed in a way that would provide a more successful journey for them, CIDL's committee determined we would step back from this opportunity and focus on our current strategic plan goals and budget plans. And Jim Drolet wrote up a nice summary report for you. So,
Do we have any questions or comments?
questions about it?
Jim, thank you for the investigative summary. That was excellent.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, it was very clear, what was good and what was bad. It's kind of disappointing, but it does seem like you guys are right, that it's not a good time for us to move on that.
We have a lot of projects going on right now.
Yes.
They did a master plan, and that was in their master plan. And then they took it to their board, and their board said, well, this would be great if you could share it. And so they were kind of ready to do it on their own, and then they approached us to see, because the board was interested in a possible shared project. It was not going to keep them from doing the project if we did not jump in on it. They just were curious. And as we had conversations about it, they said, no other library that is not directly affiliated has ever done anything like this before. And the more we looked at it, the more we realized why. Because it's really, really complicated.
Well, the parts about the collection, if you're putting some of both libraries' collections on one bookmobile, then who's tracking what? And, it gets really...
The liability of who's going to drive it, where it's going to be stored, what happens if it gets into an
Yeah.
accident, who's responsible for the repair. It really was going to slow down the project for them. So.
Is there any existing contemporary example of shared bookmobile usage like that in the library system? Or?
That's what Chase said. He's like, we would be the first. And I was like, I'm not sure we need to be the first. Let some libraries that have a little more staff can figure that out for us. So, yeah.
Okay.
Julie, could you give us a payroll project update?
Sure. Okay. So this is actually Nicole's presentation and project. She couldn't be here this evening, so I'm going to do my best to fill in for her. We have been working very closely on this project. So one of the strategic plan projects that we've been working on under Strategic Direction 3, we are a vital organization, is improvements to our HR practices. Nicole Evans, our administrative assistant HR, did a great deal of research, talked to other libraries, and narrowed the search to 2 platforms, Bamboo HR and Paylocity. We like both of these products for different reasons. One was created by a smaller company and was simple and streamlined, while the other was a much larger company with a robust and customizable platform. In June 2025, the board approved a proposal for the Bamboo HR platform. We began the process of implementing and utilizing the software. We appreciated its ease of use. In September of 2025, the board approved a proposal for the library to upgrade the Bamboo HR service to include the payroll module with an implementation date that would provide a clean break between 25 and 26. During the payroll implementation process, we struggled to set up the governmental retirement plans. After the first payroll was processed, we discovered issues with the software not being set up to handle the processing of our governmental style retirement plans. Nicole Evans and Melissa Schulman, our contracted accountant, worked closely with Bamboo HR team to address the issues and look for solutions or workarounds. Ultimately, we determined that this payroll platform is not a good fit for our government entity. Our accountant has recommended that we transition to a different product as soon as possible. We had asked the questions we thought would allow us to assess the fit of this product, but we believe the company did not know its software was not capable of handling our needs. They told us they had government clients, but they did not say that those clients were only using the HR module, not the payroll platform. Had we known that, we would have asked more detailed questions. So Nicole went back to her research and further investigated Paylocity. They have confirmed that they had municipal clients of various sizes and answered Melissa's direct questions, specifically confirming their ability to accommodate the retirement plans we have. They are able to provide an implementation timeline that will allow us to have a clean break between the first and second quarter of the year. Because both companies work on a monthly subscription model, transitioning between the two will not involve the breaking of a contract. And I do have a presentation more about Paylocity, but I did want to kind of fill you in on some of the details. If approved, Paylocity will also need to be added to the vendor's ACH authorized vendor list, which I have included in here. The 2026 budget was written to include appropriate funding for this service. In addition, $5,000 was included in the budget to provide funding for an overlap of services. Now, it was intended to overlap of paychecks and Bamboo HR, which we actually didn't need to do. Additional support from our contracted accountant or unexpected costs that might be associated with the project. So no budget adjustments would be needed to accommodate this transition. So I included in here just a very small little spreadsheet that shows that Paylocity is a little less expensive and that the implementation could be covered within that $5,000 as well as any additional help that we would need from Melissa. So I'm going to do Nicole's presentation, and I will answer questions. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about why I'm coming to you tonight and asking to switch companies. So Bamboo HR has informed us that they cannot customize the back end of their platform to encompass our governmental retirement plans. We wanted to create less work that would entail us having to do the taxes manually, which would cost us more in the long run for Melissa to do that work. We originally wanted an HR platform first with a payroll support. We understand now that we need a company that does payroll first and that the HR platform supports it because of the complicated nature of a governmental organization. We do not have a contract with Bamboo HR, and we would not have a contract with Paylocity. It is a month-by-month subscription service that we sign on for, so it should allow for that clean break. So about Paylocity. While doing our research, we actually really loved both Bamboo HR and Paylocity. It was truly a neck and neck comparison when we picked Bamboo HR. What we did love about Bamboo HR was due to the simplicity and the streamlined look. The functionality would make it easier for all of our staff, even those with less technical skills. However, we realized that we need more customization options since we are a more complicated governmental entity. What we discovered is it looks streamlined on the front end because it's simple, but it's also simple on the back end, and it did not have the ability to turn on and off some things that we needed it to do in order to do proper reporting for our situation. Paylocity and Bamboo HR both had the same functionality. They both support the HR and payroll platform, which makes it so that we would not be losing the things we love. So the things that we loved about Bamboo HR, the employee community, the phone access via the app, so you would be able to do your timesheet via your phone, the training component, the hiring process and termination, and the digital files attached to the profile, all of those things are still available in Paylocity. What we love about Paylocity, the company's been doing payroll since 1997. They have more customization to be able to fit our needs of the governmental entity. They support unemployment reporting, which is something that Bamboo HR was not going to be doing for us. The taxes will be correct and done in their system versus manually done by our accountant. There will be more support during implementation. We will have a 4 to 6 person team on our account versus just calling and getting an available support person when issues arise. Also, it's a month-to-month system versus a contract. So what will the transition look like? So it's a 6-week implementation plan, 4 weeks till the first payroll on April 10th to start the second quarter cleanly. and then 2 additional weeks to set up time tracking. So essentially what we would be doing is keeping Bamboo HR, the HR portion of it, to do that time tracking for us while we launch Paylocity. And we would have to do manual entry of timesheets for that first one in order to make sure that we get it done in a timely fashion to get us launched, to get that clean break between the first and second quarter. But they are going to support us the whole way through that process. We will be doing 1 mirrored payroll with the implementation team, assisting with a few additional payrolls as needed. So one of the things that Paylocity did say as we started to talk to them about this, and their concern was that if we felt we needed additional, they usually do 1 or 2 payrolls. They said if we were not feeling confident, they would stay with us for up to 4 payrolls, right there side by side with us to make sure that we got everything cleanly moved over. And following that, the implementation of the HR platform. So then we would switch over. So to make it a little bit easier, the way we did this for the staff the first time, we bought the HR platform from Bamboo HR. We got that launched, put in the employee community, taught them the time tracking, then we did the payroll at the end of the year. This one we would be doing sort of a flipped version of it. We would do the payroll piece first. We would leave them on that Bamboo HR, which they are comfortable with for right now, and then we would switch them over to the Paylocity HR section. As I said, the part that's going to be, I think, probably the hardest for the staff is the fact that Bamboo HR is really clean, easy, very straightforward. This one is a little more pull down menus and things that if you're not tech savvy, it's going to take a little more training and things to it. But it has a lot more power, so much more robust software. So the thing that we wanted to make sure, and these are some slides that came directly from Paylocity, that they would be with us side by side from day one. They understand that this is a difficult situation for us, and they want to support us through the whole thing. And that they have the technology and the support to make that happen. So the Client Hub, they feel is very streamlined. We think it is streamlined as well. Like I said, it's not quite as simplistic and easy. Things that people are a little less technology hesitant. But we can get them up to speed. So how do we know they can support our governmental needs? How do we know that we're not going to make another mistake? Detailed email was sent to the sales representative that was our specific MERS needs that was passed to the team, and they checked everything out for us. So essentially, the set of questions that our accountant sent to Bamboo HR when we were having trouble figuring out why things didn't seem to be going the way they should be going, we sent to Paylocity and said, we need you to do these things. And they said they sent it to their experts and then came back to us and said, yes, we absolutely can do that. So we have confirmation from their accountants that they can do this, and from their specialists, their software specialists, that they can do this. They do payrolls for multiple municipalities, not just the HR platform. They've been around much longer than Bamboo HR, and they're a larger payroll company. So the thing I want to say about this, because I don't want to make it sound like anybody did anything wrong, I have a philosophy about mistakes. My first philosophy is when you make a mistake, you admit you made a mistake. You made a mistake. You apologize. You need to apologize to the staff because they're not going to be very happy about getting transferred over. But we've asked them for their grace and their patience while we do this. Step number 3, make sure you fix it to the best of your ability, which we have worked very hard to do. Nicole and Melissa have worked very hard side by side, trying to figure out how to make this right. And interestingly, we are getting really good support from Bamboo HR. I honestly think they didn't know. I think that they did not realize that they were a private sector company. They didn't realize that government entities are very different. They thought that their software could do what we needed it to do, and they told us so. So we made a decision based on not enough information, but I don't know that they could have given us the information to figure that out until we got into it. We didn't realize we were going to run into trouble until we actually started the implementation process, and we said, well, we needed to do this, and they're like, we need to do what? So that's when we started to realize that we were going to be having some issues.
People are always surprised. They think that it's, that it's all going to be equal, and it just isn't. There are different rules that apply.
There's a lot more
in the public
reporting,
sector, yes.
And that's part of where we were running into trouble, is that they are not set up to do some of the mandatory reporting that we need to do that the private sector is not required to do, which we didn't realize that. So. Okay, so, any questions? Yes.
Two questions maybe. What are some of our neighboring libraries using for their HR and payroll systems?
So we actually talked to the Canton Public Library that uses Paylocity. They are a district library, just like we are, and they've been using it for several years, and they love it. So we did talk to them. Their budget and their staffing is much larger than ours, and they have been able to successfully do this. So we went looking for those locals, and that's what brought us Paylocity in the first place. One of the other libraries that we had talked to when we were talking about Bamboo HR was the Bloomfield Township Library. What we did not find out until much later was that Bamboo HR at the Bloomfield Township Library is only their HR piece. Somebody else does their payroll. And we didn't know that. So we thought we had done our due diligence. We didn't ask a specific enough question to get the answer we actually needed.
I guess my add-on to that would be, did we check out systems like the Orion Township Library, or some of our other neighboring?
Yep.
We did? Okay.
Yep. And a lot of those we eliminated for varying reasons because they didn't have some of the HR features that Nicole was looking for. So.
And aren't there still some libraries that are still township libraries or city libraries using the governmental entities payroll and
Orion Township is a township library. They are a PA 164, and a PA 164, the library's money is actually held by the township. And in many of those cases, the library then lets contract with the township to run their payroll for them.
because they're already running government payroll.
Handling all of their money. Yeah. As a district library, we don't do that. So.
One follow-up question is, I know that it's a bit of a wash in terms of what it looks like costs from one system to the next, but I imagine we have a number of staff hours invested in both the learning the Bamboo system, the research to fix the problems, and then training on the new system. Have you had a chance to look at sort of what those costs are, and do they still fit under the umbrella of all things being equal, it's covered?
I think we would have it covered. Like I said, we did make sure to have that extra money in place for the changeover for that transitional stage. And we weren't really sure how long it was going to take us to get the staff feeling comfortable with all of this, so we put some extra money in knowing that there would be training involved. They actually picked it up way more quickly than we anticipated, which was great. We sort of over budgeted for some of those kinds of things, and now we're stepping back and saying, well, okay, now we do need those funds. So we kind of worked in knowing that our part-timers might need to maybe have some extra hours to come in for extra trainings, things like that. We do something called a training and a treat, where you can come in and it's sort of like a learning lunch or something like that we provide some potato chips and whatever, and they learn something over the first an hour and a half, whatever. So we can work all that into our budget.
Are you going to need some customization, some custom reports or modules or anything for what you need?
All of that is included.
It's already been figured out, so they're going to do that?
It's already
Okay.
included, yep. And I think that Paylocity would also, because we called them and said, we're circling back after, and they did cut us a nice deal, which I think is why it's a little less expensive, because they were literally almost equal when I talked to you the last time. So it's a little less expensive this time.
Okay, good. One other thing, how much history do you have to transfer when you move software packages like this, because it is payroll?
So when we transferred over, a lot of what we transferred over, we made sure to capture as printed reports.
Okay.
And the way that we handle our record keeping, we try to do everything on paper. We do current year +1, and then after that, we digitize it. We have all of that saved in the cloud. We have it in categories and folders, so that we have all of that indefinitely. Some of it you can transfer over. Most of these softwares only hold so much. So we always keep those reports going as we go. So we've already got a lot of that already kept.
Okay.
We will be transferring over this quarter, that Bamboo HR this first quarter into Paylocity. And we know that there are some issues with it. Now, Paylocity basically said, you all figure out what it needs to be and put it in here, and we will make sure it's in there the way you need to be in there, but you and your accountants will be figuring out what needs to be fixed.
Okay.
But we have already made an agreement with them that when it comes to the end of the year and we're doing W-2s, that they will give us an extra opportunity to double check everything before they go out at the end of the year to assure that there's, so we will be
putting it in, checking it, double checking it, and then waiting till the end of the year, and then right before the end of the year, we will do another final check to make sure that everything looks good.
So we'll all be on one W-2.
It will all be on one W-2.
Okay,
Yep, and they said that they absolutely would make sure that it came out cleanly, but what they won't do is check the work of the previous company. So we have to do that.
okay. Does that transfer, is there a way to bulk, copy paste transfer that stuff or something like that, or do you have to?
Yep, and they will help us do all of that.
Okay, so you're not keep punching,
Nope,
okay,
we don't have to do that manually.
thank you.
Anybody else have a question or comment?
It was very clear.
Thank you. We need a motion to approve the quote for payroll and HR services for Paylocity as presented.
I would like to make a motion to approve the quote as presented for payroll and HR services from Paylocity.
I'll second.
Okay. And all those, motion has been made and seconded to approve the quote from payroll and HR services from Paylocity as presented. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove, please say nay. Motion has carried, so Julie, you've got a busy few weeks to get that done.
We do, yeah. There is a motion needed to approve Paylocity as an ACH vendor. We can
Yes.
do that motion as well.
Yeah. So we need a motion to approve updating our vendor list for authorized for HCS payments.
I'll move that we update the list to include Paylocity.
I would second.
Got two of them. Hey, we're all liking that ACH list. A motion has been made and approved to update the vendor authorized listing of ACH payments and transactions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove, please say nay. Motion carried. And now we have an update on our storage space planning project, which is the back room.
Okay,
Famous back room.
The same famous back room.
famous back room, yes. In 2008, the library executed a full space plan of the building using the services of Library Design Associates to maximize the usable space. At that time, the only space that was not addressed was the delivery area. Since the library was built in 1992, this space has never been overhauled to make the most of the storage space. During the strategic planning process, storage was a recurring theme. At the November 10th, 2025 meeting, the library board approved a proposal to hire Library Design Associates to space plan that area and cost of the consulting work that was written into the 2026 budget. A committee was formed that includes myself, the facilities coordinator, Arlene Meber, head of Children's and Teen Services, Stacia Serafin, and library board trustee, Jim Drolet. While this project is still in the design phase, the committee anticipates completing this work by the end of the month and presenting a proposal to the library board for approval for funding at the April 13th meeting. An update of the progress of the project will be presented to provide an opportunity for questions and feedback before the final project design is presented in April. So, I can do another presentation. This is a good opportunity for me to get some more steps in. Okay. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank Jim Drolet for being part of this committee. He actually put together a PowerPoint for the Friends Board, which I have done a save as and used for the staff, and done a save as and used for the board. I've used the basics, so I appreciate him doing that because it did make this easier for me, and I appreciated that additional help. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is talk about sort of the issues that brought us where we are right now. The current organization of the back room does not allow proper storage of all that the library and the Friends need to store, and it presents a significant safety issue. CIDL retained Library Design Associates, their proposed design for the back room. The proposal includes changes in the area used by the library for storage and for the Friends for book sorting and storage, as well as replacement of the flooring, which has never been replaced, its original, which is 1992 building.
And then we want to review the current proposal, determine the costs. The lead time is 14 to 16 weeks to have the materials that we need produced and brought in, and then 7 working days for installation. So in your packet, you actually have the draft of the design. The first thing, don't have laser pointers, I'm just going to kind of go over here and point out some things. So the first thing that you may notice, okay, this is the doorway that goes from the main part of the library into the back. This is the doorway that goes from the outside into the back. So this is that big storage room. This corner right here is currently the Friends sorting area, so it's kind of a U-shaped table, and they've got some storage cabinets underneath. The library storage is this shelving area right here. We have a book return right here that is actually a room, and then we have stairs that go up to the roof where the HVAC is housed. Over in this area, we have a mechanical room, so there's a door here. We have some storage of boxes of books in this area right here. And then this is actually a line of shelving that is currently where our interlibrary loan deliveries come and go, and then this is maintenance shelving. So the new layout would involve high-density, compact shelving in this area and in this area. So we're talking about shelves that move. These ones that have the slash lines on them are fixed shelving, so these shelves don't move, and then everything in here is on a track, and it will move. This would be the Friends book sale area, so this would be where they would have all of their boxes of books. All of the boxes would be on individual shelves. They would be able to access any of their inventory at any time. So that would make it a powerful sales tool for them, putting things out on the lobby carts and that kind of thing. Down in this area, we would do something similar where we would have compact shelving for all of the library's storage. This is a fixed shelf. This is a fixed shelf. All of this would be on tracks, and these shelves would move. So we really only need one aisle in here and here in order to have all of that space. Many of you may have seen this in a doctor's office where they've got the shelving that holds the medical records and that kind of thing, but I've got some videos and I can show it to you. This would be where the Friends would be doing their actual sorting. So currently what happens is books get donated, they come in this area, they come to this space where they get sorted, they get boxed into boxes, and then they get moved over to this area. The other thing that happens is when we have large donations of books, for example, people who are maybe relocating or doing an estate sale, that kind of thing, those boxes come in the back door. So we bring them in the back door, we bring them all the way over here, we sort them, and then we move them back over to this space. So when we brought in Library Design Associates, they said, if you're bringing them in, why don't we bring them in here, sort them in this space, and then move them over to this area over here. So the problem with this room, and the challenge and why we needed professionals is because, as you can see, it's a really oddly shaped room. This is a wall. This is a wall. These are stairs. It's just very strangely shaped. We've got this kind of, sort of this room sort of was all the space that was left over after we put in all of the great public space and the staff space and all that kind of thing. So it's very oddly shaped. So I do also have a floor plan of this Friends work counter, which I think is incredible. I'm really impressed with what they came in for this. So as you come in the back door of the library, there's a wall that goes all the way to the door that goes into the staff space. So what they're proposing to do is building a counter. This would be a counter. This counter is nearly 15 feet long. Underneath would be shelving, and each of these shelvings would be a tray that will pull out. These would be the boxes where they could sort their categories of books. So each one of these boxes is a category. This is mystery fiction and K-12 and that sort of thing. So they would be all divided out. They have 30 to 36 categories that they like to divide their books into. So all of these would be where they could sort. And then they could theoretically just pop the books into the space, and when they want to pull them out to really tidy up the boxes before they pack them, they can pull them out, tidy them, they could sit down to do that. Above, this is all shelving. They currently have shelving above in their current space, but it is done with wire shelving. It is not strong enough to hold actual boxes of books. The nice thing about Library Design Associates is all they do is libraries. So when we said to them, we want shelving above, they said, what are you going to put on the shelves? And we said, well, we'd love it if we could put full boxes of books up there. And they said, no problem. So these are designed to hold full boxes of books if need be. Currently, you can put empty boxes of books, or empty boxes the books would go in on the flyer shelves. So the nice thing about this whole plan is that it's designed so that every box has a shelf. They're not going to be stacked up all over the floor. It has a place that it can go, including the compact shelving. When a box gets full, you take the empty box off the shelf, you put the full box on the shelf, you put the empty box over here for sorting purposes. And this is a really nice big counter. So another thing that the Friends were concerned about is that they do have a bin for things that come in that are potentially moldy or need to be recycled because they are not appropriate for sale. So we would be putting a space right here, an empty space between the actually end of the counter and the door that goes in the other room, where they could have their bin where they put those things. One of the things that the Friends asked for in the draft when we talked to them is that they wanted some additional shelving. The shelving didn't go all the way to the wall, but they thought because this was open, they could have the shelving go all the way to the wall. So we had asked Kyle and Jennifer, the designers, to extend the shelving out further so that there would be some additional storage right here. Any questions on any of that before I pop to the next slide? Okay, so for those who are not familiar with compact shelving, this is a photo of Aurora compact shelving. So this shelving that we are going to, you can get shelving that is either book shelving, which is usually pretty narrow that the bookends go on. We would be looking at utility shelving. So we're looking at flat shelving that goes all the way across and all the way back. The nice thing about compact shelving in this case is that it's accessible from both sides. So the depth of the shelf, what we're looking at is either 18 or 12-inch shelves potentially. And when we went to look at the shelving on our field trip, we could even have 24-inch shelving, and we're still talking about that, but that it's accessible from both sides. The disadvantage is that you need to be able to keep everything on the shelf. So if it's not on the shelf properly, when the shelves compact, they can bump into things and knock things off. So this is a new concept for our staff, and I want to thank Jim for creating frames for us to test out how to decide whether everything will fit on the shelf. You know, when you go to the airport and you take your carry-on, you put it in a little bin and it fits in the bin so you know it'll fit in the overhead. He built us those. They're 36 inches wide, they're 12 inches or 18 inches, and the staff is literally going in the bag and like loading it full and going, yep, it'll fit. I need a shelf for that. So that's been very helpful for them to kind of visually figure out how things are going to fit. So this is a little bit of a schematic that shows how that shelving would work. It has cranks on the ends so that you can turn the shelves and the aisles move so that you can move that aisle where you walk in. And this thing, this red line in the corner, when library design came to do an assessment of the back, they sent a team of 4 people. They were here for 4 hours measuring everything in that back room, counting everything we have on the shelves, and figuring out how to accommodate the things that we're doing back there, looking at the workflows, really digging deep into how we do things in that space. So the other thing we did is we took a field trip. We took a field trip over to the archive at the Zeppelin Holocaust Center in Farmington Hills to see the Aurora shelving in action. Aurora is the brand of shelving that we're looking at. And they have it. They are the most recent project the library design did with this particular shelving. So you can see these are pictures taken by Sissy. You can see Sissy in this picture here. So basically, their shelving has the exact crank design that we're looking at. When the shelves come together, we were interested in things like how close is it? Can you crush your hand? And the answer is no. You get 2 inches of space. So when the shelves come together, there's not a pinch problem there. And then the other thing was, what happens if you're turning the crank and there's somebody in between the aisles? There's a foot brake. So if the shelving is coming towards you, you put your foot against this bar, like Sissy is doing here, and the shelving stops. So it will protect you from getting pinched in between. And then the big concern from our staff, we have some staff that have issues with their hands, with their back, with their shoulders, that kind of thing. There was some worry about whether or not people would be able to turn that crank. And so we do actually have, we tried it. We took it over so that everybody could try it. So I have a video.
It's really scary. I think that was part of something we most yeah, that's why I wanted to show.
you want to notice she's pushing multiple shelves at the same time, turning that crank, and 3 sets of shelves were going down. The interesting thing about their shelving, so when you look at library shelves, they're in sections, 36-inch sections. The 36-inch sections at the Zeckelman Holocaust Center, there are 12 of them in the aisle. And then what she was just moving in this video, she was moving,
It's really pretty. Period.
Look like 3 of them.
I think 3.
That's why.
Yeah, she's doing 3 of them, 12 sections long. Ours will only be 4 sections long, so it would be half the weight, and you could see how easily she was turning that. And then we also have one with Nicole turning it as well. Going back the other way.
I thought you feel something.
I mean, like with 2 fingers.
Yeah. The interesting thing is when you're actually rolling the shelves, once you get them going, they will kind of just continue to glide until they hit there's rubber stoppers on them that will get them to stop. Some of the interesting features about the shelving in terms of safety, because we are very much interested in safety. If you look down here at this, so these run on a track. It's like a little train track. And it's got a connector on both sides that grabs the wheels that are underneath it. And he said that based on the kinds of things that we would be putting on, we probably would only need the track to hug around one side, but it doesn't cost any more to have it hug on both sides. And so they would recommend us doing that to make sure that it would keep it as stable as possible, depending on what we would be putting on the shelves. And then you can see there's a little bit of a ramp right here that goes up to this track because all the mechanism is underneath it. And so we can designate how steep we want that little track to be, how far out the ramp comes in order to make it as easy as possible to go up and down the ramp.
Are there ADA requirements about the steepness of the ramp? I thought so.
Yep. So this is actually a little steeper than what he would recommend for us. They were dealing with a space issue, but this is still ADA compliant in this particular situation.
Okay.
Okay, so the current project status, where are we in this process? So library staff is working on an inventory to determine how many and what size shelves each department needs, and those are those frames that Jim very generously built for us, and they're sitting in my office, and people keep scurrying and taking them, and they use them, and then they bring them back, and then they've been going in and out, and everybody's been very grateful for that opportunity to be able to make those measurements and make that a little bit easier, a little more visual for people who have a hard time picturing what will fit on the shelf. The Friends of the Library, they're verifying the proposed compact storage shelves are the correct size for their book boxes, which Jim has been helping them with that. And they're reviewing the counter for minor tweaks in design. The deadline for all of those particular changes is March 27th. So the staff will actually be finishing up their inventory on March 16th. And we will then go back to library design associates, sit down with them with all of the suggestions and changes that we would like to make. For example, how many 12-inch shelves do we need? How many 15-inch shelves do we need? And they will help us make those changes. The goal would be to have that all done by the 27th, but I built in a cushion. Your meeting is not until April 13th, so we have a little bit of extra time there. That gives me time to go through and make sure that I feel confident in terms of the funding and the project itself, that all the details are in there, the flooring, all of those questions are answered. And then what are the next steps? So an important next step is, when would we do a project like this? So the best days for implementation are after book sale, when that space has the least amount stored in it, which means we would be looking at May or October. There's an April sale, there's a September sale. There's obviously no way we'd be ready by May. And we do want to present the proposal to the board April 13th. It's 14 to 16 weeks lead time on these materials. So after that September sale, the window that I'm looking at would be September 28th to October 11th. I would like it to be done the week before Trunk or Treat, which is the next big project we have after the book sale. And that's actually more than 7 days, that's 2 weeks. So it'll be 7 days in that window. 14 to 16 weeks, I counted back, and if If we do it on the April 13th meeting, that's actually 6 full months. And they would store our materials until we were ready for the project. I've already talked to them about this date. They've already put that on their calendar. Yes, that's no problem. And then the next question is, what do we do with all this stuff?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yep. So this is the beautiful thing about Library Design Associates. We worked with them before. In 2008, we did the entire building. That means absolutely everything except that back room. We recarpeted and repainted the whole building, and they moved everything for us. So they're going to do it the same way. Essentially, there's 2 ways they're going to do it. They're going to move everything from one side of the room to the other to work on that side, and then they're going to move it back. But they are also bringing in probably at least 1 or 2 semis to take things out of the building. Conversation we're having with the staff is, during that 7-day period, we will have absolutely no access to that room. None. Can't walk through it, can't go grab your stuff. It's going to be in the back of a semi. So
Where it will stay for 7 days.
Where it will stay for 7 days. So we are now planning ahead, talking to the staff about, okay, what is it that you would need during that time frame? And we've blocked off this room for that time frame so that we can store some things in here to ensure that we can access the things that we would need during that window of time. Okay. Questions?
Well, you anticipated all of mine, so good job.
Just a comment that it seems very well thought out, and it looks like the design will work well, so congratulations to everybody who worked on it.
We give a lot of credit to library design. They come in and they understand libraries. That's all they do is libraries, public and academic. And they serve Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. We have worked with them in the past. We know that we can trust them to make good recommendations. And when you ask a question, they will go back and research it and figure out how to fix it if it's something you're like, well, what about this? The really nice thing that I've been kind of expressing to the friends is that the nice thing about bringing in Library Design Associates, this particular design is, while it is custom, is not the first place that this has been in existence. Library Design drew something very, very similar and installed something very, very similar in a number of other libraries that they use for their interlibrary loan workspace. So the pull-out drawers and the big boxes of books on them and that kind of thing, this exists in another library. The beautiful thing about working with a company that does this kind of stuff all the time is that if they did something that they could make it even better, the next time they install it, they're going to do that. And that's what they're doing here. Is like, we're tweaking a few things. We're going to use a different brand of something for this. And so they're going to make it even better than the ones that they've already done. So I'm really excited about this because this is not, while it is custom, it is not untested. So it is a tried thing.
I know the friends of the library are very excited to see this happen. More than chaos we currently have. Yes.
What are you going to put on the floor?
We're looking at a couple different flooring suggestions. Kyle has suggested a couple of different, he hasn't looked at the options yet, but he's got 2 different, there's a vinyl option that he's looking at. He's looking for something that's easy, but he's also looking for something that will cleanly go up those ramps and be nice and smooth, and that will cut cleanly on the tracks. But he also wants something that's hard because he knows the kinds of things we're going to be doing back there with the carts and the hauling in and out and the pallet lifters and things like that come in our back room. So he has a couple of options, and Arlene hasn't really looked at those yet. That's the next meeting.
Once the room is emptied, they think they can get it done in a week, 10 days, or
7 days is what they said.
7 days.
Yep. So he actually walked us through and I'll walk you through it at the next meeting. But basically, what they do is they, interestingly, they put down the framework. They put down the framework first, and they put in the ramps. Then they come back and lay the flooring. So it's not like you take everything out, lay the flooring. They actually do the flooring, I don't want to say last, but they put in the ramps and the tracks first, and then they floor it up to the tracks, and then they put in shelves.
Okay. So the tracks are not, it's between pieces of flooring, not on the flooring.
Yes. Yep, and going up those ramps underneath, there is a false floor that everything works underneath.
Okay.
We also asked them about, that was the nice thing about going over to the Zeckelman Center. We got to ask them a lot of questions about maintenance and that kind of thing. And their librarian came and talked to us about it and said that they've been very, very pleased. They haven't really had any trouble at all, but when they have questions about how things work, they call the company and they've been really great. The other thing that's nice about library design is that they guarantee their work. Things that we had installed in this building in 2008 when they did our space plan, I can still call Kyle and say, hey, this isn't working right. He's like, I'll send one of my guys over to fix it. They stand by their work.
Excellent. I'm anxious, like you, to see it done. I think it's a real safety issue back there.
Well, just, to get rid of all those piles of boxes and.
Yes.
I mean, because anytime you start piling things up, they can fall over.
Yes. And we have lots of deliveries of big boxes through that door.
Right.
And if they accidentally tilt to
Right.
the right, yes. Yeah. So it looks like we could end the year with a much nicer program for the Friends. Any other questions or comments?
Do you know with it's kind of theoretical, but with that increased density of storage like that, does the fire suppression system that we have from a requirement or code perspective still adhere to that?
It will. He will have the ultimate say,
Okay.
and he will be taking a look at it. We wanted to kind of get the shelving numbers first and have him take a look at it. But absolutely, that was some of the questions we asked when we were at Zekelman as well.
So LDA is going to analyze that and ensure compliance
Yep.
and all that?
So the big thing has less to do with the density and more to do with the height.
Oh, like blocking sprinklers or
Yep,
something?
so we have to be 18 inches below the sprinkler heads, and these are only 84 inches, and that is a really high ceiling. The difference is we will not be storing anything on top of any of those shelves that move. You can put some things on top of the fixed shelving, which is kind of where we store some of the light things like furnace filters and things like that so that you get them up off the floor. But this will eliminate a lot of that. We will be doing less storage up high. Everything will have a shelf. And the
Place
staff
to
is,
go, yeah.
yes, and the staff is doing a purge right now. If you were to go back in the back, Nicole created little cards, and they are attached to absolutely everything in that back room. And it says, who is responsible for this? What department does it belong to? Is it being purged, or is it going on the shelving? Is it staying in this room, or is it going to the youth activities room? Is it going to the shelving in here? We were doing a lot of analysis of what's in here, what's in the shed, and kind of shuffling some things around. There's a spreadsheet that the staff is working on that shows where everything is currently, and they're negotiating. So some of the things that are in the youth activities room will go to the cage. Some of the things that are in cage will go to the youth activities room. It's just some bopping back and forth. And,
Yeah, that'll be great. So that basically means all the stacked boxes that we had are
Will
going
be
away then. Yeah.
gone. That's the plan, yes.
That's awesome.
And part
Plus,
of
you
the-
must be finding stuff that nobody even remembers who it belongs to because.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes. So what often happens is when somebody has something in their office that they don't want, they put it in the back, and then especially if they leave, we've turned over the teen librarian or whatever, and we go back there and we're like, who has this box of ping pong balls? I'm sure there's some important purpose for it, but we don't know why it's there. So it's for a children's program, I suppose, but so now we're going through and we're saying, who does this belong to, and what are we going to do with it?
That's good, just to get the opportunity to get rid of things that nobody has any use for anymore.
Absolutely.
And hardly anyone knew they were even back there.
Absolutely.
And there's probably more of it than we realize.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's easy to move it to the back room and go on
Out of
about your
sight,
day.
out of mind.
Something
Yeah,
wrong. Yeah.
exactly.
Just like home.
Exactly.
The nice thing about the compact shelving, though, is because the shelves move, it limits where you can stack stuff. So hopefully this solution is one of the reasons I want to do compact shelving is because it basically says, no, you can't put it there because the aisle needs to be accessible when it moves. So I'm hopeful that this will prevent us from going back to that bad habit of, we'll just set it there forever.
Yeah. Well, and it'll keep the Friends boxes from migrating into the library, especially the staff lunchroom, where many boxes have been stored for years.
I think the part that the Friends are going to like the most is being able to get to all of their inventory all of the time. They can, right now, if it's at the bottom of a stack, they can't get to the box of mysteries, but now they would be able to just move the aisle, go down there and pull out. If they wanted to, their lobby carts where they make as much from those lobby carts in a year as they do as a book sale. So, you know, the more power they have to put out the best stuff at that time, the more money they can make doing that. And it'll be so much nicer when they can access all of their inventory easily.
Yeah, because then they can like gear it towards seasonal things or,
Absolutely.
particular
Absolutely.
holidays or whatever might be going on. That is really nice.
And this was based on something that Jim had seen over at the White Lake Public Library. White Lake has a nice sorting room. Theirs is a room that is lined and shelving all the way around. They don't have compact shelving. We don't have the space for that. The room isn't big enough to do that. But the compact shelving allows us to mimic that accessibility to all of the boxes. So.
Any other questions or comments? I think we're ready to adjourn the meeting. May someone make a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who would like to stay, say nay. Meeting is adjourned at 7:35.
Thank you.